Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Send the House podcast. I'm Jack.
I'm Austin.
And I'm Jackson.
We'll be going over the latest NFL news, fantasy football news, college football. Just another podcast, you know. Let's get into it. We got our injuries, and wow, what a week! I
know.
It's bad.
You know, we thought we had a lot of injuries week 2, but now it's just insane.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Tua is still hurt, and he was hurt last week, and then CMC's on IR, and then a lot more also kind of a lot of people got hurt.
Yeah.
So it's tough to see. Tua might retire.
Yeah.
Might be gone.
ETA, who knows? I mean,
ETA never.
yeah,
For real.
it could be as long as.
And you know, it's crazy because I'm pretty sure everybody on this list, except for maybe Tua, was on one of our 3 fantasy teams. All 3 of us are going through some tough times right now. AJ Brown, fantasy manager of him, kind of just out of nowhere. I never saw him in risk of injury, and then all of a sudden I get a notification saying he has a hamstring injury. Might be placed on IR. Like, where'd this come from? Luckily, I did just maybe not even 30 minutes before the podcast, traded him. You know, we'll get into that later. But yeah, hamstring injury, ETA 2 to 5 weeks.
And you know what you were saying with that, you weren't expecting it is kind of how I felt with Christian McCaffrey too, especially going into the season. Was lucky enough to have the first pick in our fantasy football draft, and everything was saying, "Oh yeah, it's a minor calf," and then it unfolds into, "Oh, Achilles something. He's on IR."
Yeah.
5 to 7 weeks. Like, if I would have known this, I would have picked somebody else.
Yeah.
But Cooper Kupp here, estimated time 6 to 8 weeks. He looked really good in week 1, the week he was healthy, and then it's kind of been some with Kupp. He's been questionable the past couple years, getting older. He's not been as healthy. You know, it feels like he's had some injuries nearly every year.
No doubt. You know, when Puka went down, tough loss for you, Cheek, and then it kind of just led the way for Cooper Kupp to be that guy, and people really thought he was going to be that guy. Then later in the game, Bro goes down with ankle. Also was a previous fantasy manager of him, got him out quick. But yeah, another one of those that just, you know, the hype was up here, and then all of a sudden just crashed and burned. Now we got Pacheco, another one late game, another tough one for me. I'm still holding on to him though. Fractured fibula. I also went through a fractured fibula myself, so feel where he's coming from. Wasn't as bad though. ETA 6 to 8 weeks. Put on IR.
Then Debo's just out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Like, Kyle Shanahan, what are we doing?
Make
Can we
up your
just,
mind.
There's got to be
tell
a
us-
timeline.
Yeah. A couple of weeks is crazy. Because that can mean 2, like, literal meaning, or it could be, like, IR. But I don't think it'll be IR. I hope it's not IR.
I don't think. Usually when a guy says, yeah, it's a couple weeks, kind of like a week-to-week thing, like David Njoku was hurt, and they said, yeah, it's a week-to-week thing. I think he's been ruled out for this week's matchup, but hopefully it should be returning next week. I have him on my team. And then our last person here, Puka Nacua, 5 to 7 weeks with a PCL. I'm not really sure what a PCL is, but I don't think it's probably not very good.
No. That's in your knee area.
Yeah.
What do you think about it, Cheek, being a fantasy manager?
I mean, Cooper Kupp looks really good, and then he got injured. So, Rams are just kind of doomed right now.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. Their 2 star wide receivers are just out on IR.
Yeah, they still got Kyron, but definitely a sinking ship there.
No doubt. It's gonna be interesting seeing how that wide receiver core. You don't really know who's gonna be that top dog. You know, you got Tutu Atwell, you got Demarcus Robinson,
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah, maybe Kyron Williams just goes crazy. Maybe I don't know. Blake Corum may be getting some work in. I don't know.
If I had to choose one, I would lean Demarcus Robinson.
No doubt.
But hopefully the tight end could get some usage to Parkinson, because he's on my team right now. But hopefully he'll get some volume. But yeah, it's not the pass catchers there. Definitely limited right now. On to the next section here. Monday Night Football recap. It was the Falcons versus the Eagles.
Yeah, boy, what a game!
What a game! I mean, who would have saw it coming? Final score 22-21. Saquon with a crucial drop on third down.
Kind of like a little fumble there. He was kind of bobbling in the air, just couldn't corral it. Big loss. They ended up scoring on that drive, but the Falcons go right back down the field, and they had that. One thing that stuck out to me was they had that penalty by Drake London, the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, that backs up that extra point. So like it was 50-some yards,
like field goal range.
Yeah, and Koo just knocks it straight through the middle.
It's Younghoe Koo.
Yeah. It gives them the 1 point lead and the win.
If anything, the backup helped Koo. You know, he's elite.
Yeah, he is a great kicker. Top performers here. Darnell Mooney for the Falcons. He's been a guy over the past couple of years in fantasy football. It's been like he's always had that buzz around, like you're in like the 10th, 11th round. He's like, oh yeah, I really like Darnell Mooney this year. Especially back when he was on the Bears. And I mean, it's looking on the Falcons. Kirk Cousins seems to have a connection with him. There's no reason he can't be a Jordan Addison if Drake London is the Justin Jefferson, so to say.
Yeah, no, Darnell Mooney, he's a great wide receiver. I don't think he's found his role yet in the NFL, his team. But, I mean, if he can keep on putting up these points, he's definitely a sleeper in fantasy to go maybe buy low on, you know. But Kirk Cousins, I mean, led that game-winning. That's the veteran in him.
That's why they have him.
Yeah, no doubt. Drake London had that. You know, Drake London, I don't think he's that guy. I went into the season saying he wasn't that guy, wasn't a second to third round talent, and it's showing off right now.
I mean, 17 points. I don't remember what he had in week 1. I don't think it was very high, but I mean, we'll see how this Mooney seems to be a threat. Obviously, Kyle Pitt's still there, Bijan Robinson. It's a crowded offense for sure. Switching over to the Eagles here.
Now you talk about crowded offense. That's the Eagles.
Yeah, for sure. Jalen Hurts with 23 points. I mean, that's what you kind of expect if you take a top QB.
Yeah, no, he had that late game-sealing interception that does put him down 2 points. So
yeah.
Devontae Smith, your boy, phenomenal game. You know, you saw him shine with A.J. Brown being ruled out for Monday Night Football. And, you know, I definitely think for however long A.J. Brown's out, Devontae is going to be pretty elite. And then you got Saquon Barkley, you know, had that crucial drop, but also
rest of the game he was really good.
Didn't have a touchdown, did he?
No, he did not have a touchdown.
And still putting up 17.6 points. That's
especially good for a running back.
No doubt.
Yeah, and Saquon, I had him last year, and in the Giants offense, I felt like he was just kind of stuck. I don't feel like he was really going anywhere. And you look in the Eagles now, and I think he's one of the best running backs in fantasy football right now.
Yeah.
With CMC out, he's definitely got a case for the top guy with what he's doing right now. He's in an elite offense, and he's catching passes too, running the ball really well. I think Saquon's going to be a very good fantasy football player.
Yeah, going into fantasy football, you really didn't know what to expect from him because of the lack of usage and the lack of offensive line that he had in New York. But fantasy manager's paying off with that. He's looking really good.
Yeah. No doubt. All right, I say we move on to our next topic here. Thursday Night Football preview.
Yep. We
got the Jets at the Patriots. Obviously, some top fantasy football players are playing, but in terms of actual NFL game, do you like your Jets?
I like the Patriots here.
Okay,
you know,
wow.
I think they're one of the most slept on teams, and you know, one of the main questions around that team is what happened to Drake May? Yeah. You got Jacoby Brissett starting there, but when are you gonna let Drake May shine? And maybe he doesn't shine. Maybe he's gonna be a bust. But you know, their offense really only big star there is Rahamondre Stevenson. He's been going lights out for him.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, as you see the top fantasy players, the drop off from Stevenson to Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
It's insane to me.
And then you have the backup running back.
I know.
I mean,
I don't know how they pulled out the win versus the Bengals, but you know,
Yeah, their wide receiver talent is not there.
No.
But the Jets, I mean, Aaron Rodgers to me, I still think he's a good quarterback. I feel like people are kind of sleeping on him because they forget. They just kind of X out everything, and they just think, oh yeah, he was injured. He's old, but he was still a great quarterback even when he was getting older at the Packers. I still think he's a really good quarterback. You have one of the best running backs in the league. You have a great wide receiver. I'm only with the Jets on this one.
I got the Jets too. I mean, offense better, defense better.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
Quinnen Williams, right?
Yeah.
Quinnen Williams,
Big,
my guy.
Yeah. But top fantasy players, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. We highlighted those guys. Any sleeper picks that maybe aren't on here that you like to have a big game?
This isn't a sleeper pick. I picked him up off the waiver wire. Braylon Allen. I don't know how it's going to shake out because he had the rushing touchdown and receiving touchdown last week, and he showed out. But I don't know how, because it's hard to let him eat into the rushing because it's Breece Hall, one of the best running backs in the league. But I don't know, Braylon Allen. It's going to be fun to see him how he does tonight because you never know. It's kind of like with the Jordan Mason when CMC gets back. How are they going to deal with Jordan Mason? How are they going to deal with CMC? How are they going to deal with the running back volume they give? Mm-hmm. So, no, I got the Patriots.
All right. Okay. Moving on to our next section, Red Zone Rush Hour, again, coming to you this week. We want to first talk about a guy that was on here last week, Bijan Robinson, kind of reiterate the fact that in the red zone so far, he's really not been a big factor. Had no targets, 18% of the total team touches. He had one carry and he went backwards again. So, what's going on with Bijan in the red zone?
I don't know. I saw a thing yesterday where it said he's going to finish with 1,900 rushing yards and 0 touchdowns. I don't know what's going on in Atlanta, but Bijan, he's getting the volume and the rushing yards outside of the red zone.
Right.
Into the red zone, he burrows back into his little shell and doesn't do anything. I don't know if that's just him or if that's just Atlanta not using him, but it's hopefully it gains value throughout the season, but I don't know how to deal with that right now as a Bijan fantasy manager.
I mean, Bijan, you look at him, he's still putting up like 16 points with no touchdowns. So you think if he does start getting touchdowns, he could really become a real weapon. And also, earlier in the off season, the coordinator for Atlanta was talking about how Bijan and Tyler Algier. They said, it's going to be a kind of a split backfield, and at times they could definitely be leading to riding with Algier. And I don't know if that's what's happening in the red zone right now, if they like Algier more in the red zone, but it seems to be Bijan has not really been too efficient.
No doubt.
All right, second player here, James Conner, and he's been great.
No doubt. I mean, you saw him as a kind of mid-round running back, and he's been showing out, averaging around 20 points, 1 touchdown, 28% of total team touches, 4 carries for 10 yards. And, he's that guy for the Arizona when it comes to rushing. You had Trey Benson back there, but he hasn't really been showing out for them.
And Arizona's offense is just booming right now.
Yeah.
They look great.
Yeah, they've got Marvin Harrison Jr. now. Still have McBride, but I think they're always going to utilize Conner on the ground. I think he's a big focal point for their offense, and I think he'll continue to get a lot of red zone work, which is, if you're a fantasy manager, I think you're really happy to see that.
Yeah, Kyler Murray had a phenomenal game. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had the doubts with Marvin Harrison Jr. and then first 2 catches, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a game. See, that's a weird little situation, but with Marvin Harrison, because you had the 2 boom plays, but you think he's going to be consistent enough to keep dropping 29, 28 points?
No, obviously, I don't think we'll continue to drop 29, 28 every week. But I do think that if you're looking at that first week, I don't think that that's going to be a regular occurrence with that 1.9 or whatever he had.
Yeah, for sure not.
I still think he's the main target to Kyler Murray, even though you do have McBride. More of like a 1A, 1B kind of way. But I still think he'll be a great fantasy weapon. Ramondre Stevenson, I mean, you want to talk about elite. It's been this guy right here. 1 touchdown on 3 targets for 1 reception, 2 yards. 54% of the total team touches in the red zone. 6 carries for 13 yards. 6 carries in the red zone. That's and 3 targets. I mean, he's getting a lot of volume, obviously.
The real question is if this Patriots offense will slow down, will his fantasy value plummet?
Right. I mean,
Because
obviously,
that's what happens to good running backs on bad teams.
yeah, you can't have anything in the red zone if you don't even get to the red zone as an offense. So.
See, but one of the things is he's carrying them to the red zone.
That's true.
It's a weird Patriots offense because you don't got the standout wide receiver. You don't have a good quarterback either. So I just traded for him, hoping he still just carries that offense. But yeah, Ramondre Stevenson is just carrying the touches when it comes to running backs.
Yeah, 54% is crazy. All right, next, kind of a Jets backfield here. Breece Hall and Braylon Allen. Obviously, you see the touchdown numbers. One has 2, one has 0. That's obviously a big difference when you're talking about fantasy football. Each had 1 attempt. Breece Hall goes for 4. Braylon Allen goes for 20. And 0 targets for Breece Hall. 1 target, 1 reception, and 12 yards for Braylon Allen. So Allen really efficient.
Well, I'm not really concerned about Breece Hall here at all. Braylon Allen, he had a really good game, but the run, he was just set up perfectly on that one. And Braylon Allen does look good, but I feel like Breece Hall will continue to get it done. And if you're a Breece Hall fantasy manager, don't be worried.
Yeah. We kind of touched on it at the start of the podcast. It's gonna be weird seeing how that backfield pans out.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun to see it tonight. Two of the running backs in Red Zone Rush Hour are playing tonight, so it'll be nice to see. But yeah, let's move on.
All right. College football going into week 4. Obviously, it's starting to get into conference play for a lot of conferences, so you're gonna have some big matchups. And the first one, USC at Michigan. This is now somehow a conference matchup, even though one's in California and one's in Michigan. So it's kind of weird to think about that. But USC's, I believe, ranked 11 and Michigan around 18, is something like that. So, I mean, obviously both teams are stacked. What's your call on the game?
I like USC. They had the big win over LSU to start off the season. And I just think they're the better team. I think you got the standout Michigan players in Donovan Edwards, Will Johnson, Mason Graham. But I do think that Miller Moss will lead that team to take the W and to cover the spread. So,
yeah, one interesting thing to watch here is Zachariah Branch, a wide receiver for USC. Really a speedy guy, really fast, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he matches up with Will Johnson, one of the top prospects in the upcoming draft, top cornerback. And I'm leaning with you. I like USC on this one. I think Miller Moss is a good quarterback. I think he gets the job done. In Michigan, I saw how they played against Texas. They didn't really look good. I think their QB is still a big question mark for them. Obviously, their defense is still pretty good, but I'm gonna go with USC on this one.
Sorry, Michigan fans. I'm going USC too. Just like how USC has played this season overall.
Yeah. All right, big game here. SEC matchup. Tennessee at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's first game in the SEC. Going up against Tennessee. Oklahoma is at home. What do you like here?
It's Tennessee for me. I mean, in the Jack poll, I had them ranked high, and you saw what they did to NC State. I think they're playing some of the best football in college football right now, and I think they'll take and cover the spread. Tennessee's just playing out of their minds. You had the iffy part leading into the college football season because they didn't have too good of a performance last season. but they're showing out. I mean, Nico at quarterback, James Pierce, two great players, and I think they will take the W over Oklahoma.
Yeah, I like Tennessee a lot in this game too. I mean, Oklahoma, I don't know if they're on fraud alert, but I don't really believe in them, honestly. Jackson Arnold, I still think he's still a little unproven as a quarterback. I think he's got great talent, but I just don't really know. In his first SEC game, big lights, obviously. And then you look at Tennessee, James Pierce is going to be after him all game. He's a great defensive player, and Nico's been putting up great numbers, one of the best quarterbacks so far this season. I'm gonna go Tennessee too.
I'll go Tennessee 3. Tennessee looked really good against NC State, another ranked team, or former ranked team. Nico, I am not able to pronounce his last name. See what I did there. Looked really good so far. So I got Tennessee.
All right, nice. Moving into our last one here, Utah, Oklahoma State, another conference matchup. Obviously, Utah starting Cam Rising at quarterback, the 6-year guy, and Oklahoma State is obviously headlined by Ollie Gordon, their elite running back. So two teams very closely ranked, things like 14 and 12, something like that. So it's going to be a fun matchup.
I think I'm going to go OSU here. I think I don't know what it is. Ollie Gordon, phenomenal running back. I think they'll take the win. Believe I picked them in the college football pick'ems we have, but no, I think OSU is gonna take this one.
Yeah, I mean, one thing both teams so far have kind of faced a little bit of adversity. Utah, you weren't really expecting that so much with how they played against Utah State, but it ended up being a close game in the fourth quarter, and then Oklahoma State obviously double overtime with Arkansas. So I think both of these teams are going to come in here prepared, but I do like Oklahoma State just because Utah, they didn't look very good against Utah State, and so I'm going to take Oklahoma State, especially when they're at home.
Yeah,
pretty sure Utah is ranked above Oklahoma State.
I think so,
but I know they're not favored. I think Oklahoma State is favored in this one, but I have Utah winning this one.
All right, let's move into some fantasy football recap.
Yeah, I mean, big week for me. Had Pacheco, Cup, AJ Brown all go down. Just it was tough because I traded for Cup and Pacheco the week leading into this week, and it was tough. But your boy made some moves. Traded Cooper Cup, Dallas Goedert. Pretty controversial trade, but sent Cooper Cup, Dallas Goedert for Brock Bowers and Jackson Smith and Jigba. I was high on Brock Bowers going into the season, and he's showing out. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was 9 targets in both week 1 and week 2, having phenomenal performances. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, of course, having the 16 target, 10 reception game in week 2. I had to make the decision: do I ride out with a crappy team and then have an elite team later on? And I made the decision to go ahead and just get rid of them and go ahead and just try to rebuild the team from what I had. And so Cooper Kupp gone. AJ Brown recently traded right before the podcast started. Traded another very controversial trade. Traded AJ Brown, traded Devin Singletary, and traded Tank Dell for Rahamondre Stevenson and Najee Harris. After looking back on it, do think I gave a little bit too much. But, A.J. Brown has that uncertain injury, not knowing when he's going to come back. But, traded Tank Dell. He wasn't going to start for me anyway. And Devin Singletary, who I also recently traded for, gone for Rahamondre. We saw in the red zone rush hour, he was dominating that backfield and touches. And Najee Harris, one of my sleeper picks. He's had 20 carries, 17 carries week 1 and week 2. And I think if he can find the end zone, he's going to be a real sleeper running back too. And so, yeah, that's mainly my big moves in fantasy football. Kind of, I started panicking after everybody went down. So I think I did pretty well going in to week 3.
Recap on my team. We are 0-2. The team I was playing had Alvin Kamara, so that was unfortunate. Yeah, my team did have Achan and Malik Neighbors, who both scored over 28 points, and Devontae Smith, who scored above 20 points. But Caleb Williams only had like 7. Not sure what happened with Rashad White. I think there was maybe an injury there that kept him out of part of the game. He only put up 3.5. Had to kind of scramble with the injuries. Had to start Ladd McConkey, 4.9. Colby Parkinson at tight end, who I picked up off waivers, 2.2. So, it was a tough week. Tough week for me for sure. CMC still injured. David Njoku still injured. Jonathan Brooks, I drafted him and put him on my IR at the beginning of the season. But I think I'm looking good towards the end of the season. But right now, it's tough. I need a win this week. Big matchup. If I'm 0-3, it's going to be. I think I'm on the outside looking in to get into the playoffs. But if I get to 1-2, I think I'm right back in there in the hunt for sure. But I mean, if Malik Neighbors, Devon Achan, they can show out. I recently picked up Baker Mayfield, and I'm starting him at quarterback. Kind of uncertain who I'm going to be starting at tight end. Might still lean with Parkinson, but I'm seeing we have moved Ladd McConkey to the bench and moved Deontay Johnson to flex because we'll see. Kind of hoping Andy Dalton can prove something. But yeah, that's the recap on my team.
My team, it looks really good except for the wide receivers. JMO, you could feel comfortable starting him at like a wide receiver 2 flex, solid guy. He's my wide receiver 1 because of the Debo and Puka injuries. Haven't been really able to get any trades to fix that situation right now, which is unfortunate. But my RB room is still looking great. Saquon, Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins. Got some improved bench depth this week. I picked up a lot of guys off waivers. Tyler Johnson, Jawan Jennings.
Yeah, and
Carson Steele. There you go.
If y'all want to update on EA's team, the 4th member of our team behind the camera, who's not here today.
I mean, but embarrassing.
But he's 2-0. He's looked like the best team in the league so far. And not sure who he plays this week, but probably projected a lot of points again. And I think his team's in probably the front runner right now to get that number 1 spot in the playoffs and kind of win it out right now.
And I forgot to say one of my major trades. I mean, kind of a weird move from old Stokes over there in his war room. He has Chris Godwin, and I guess he just really wanted to handcuff the Buccaneers wide receivers with Mike Evans. The boy had Mike Evans and didn't even offer the trade. Stokes over here offers me Tyreek Hill for Mike Evans 1-for-1. And when I saw that, my eyes lit up. But you can't overreact because then he starts second guessing himself. So I played the cool. Oh yeah, I think I'll do that, and I secured Tyreek Hill on the team, and that's going to be a major. That's a iffy little thing there with old Skylar Thompson starting at quarterback, but that was an unexpected trade I made there. But yeah, I hope the team can pull through this week playing the ambulance, who's 0-2, not that good of a team. So.
Who are your booms and dooms for week 3?
My booms and dooms are Devontae Smith, Devon Achan, and Jawan Jennings.
So the home pick with Jawan Jennings.
Yes, he's on my bench.
I do like Achan and Smith though, both on my team. So
my dooms: Mike Evans, Jalen Waddle, and Jerome Ford, Tony Pollard, just like fighting for that 3 spot.
Yeah, I mean, you had Tony Pollard at the doom slot, and he's been playing some good football.
He really has.
You had the matchup in the running back room with Tajay, and then you see Tajay, a little injury there, and he just not showing out. And Tony Pollard being that guy for the Titans.
I mean, Tony Pollard's looking like what you were expecting last year with the Cowboys when he was getting drafted so high. He's really playing like a mid-round steal right now, for sure. Let's move into some NFL news here. Obviously we're 2 weeks in. I don't think it's time to overreact by all means, but the Ravens 0-2. The Raiders came back down 10 in the fourth quarter. Is it time to? Or is there a alarm?
I don't think there's an alarm. I think the addition with Derrick Henry, that running back room looking so weird. You got Justice Hill, really that receiving back, and you got Derrick Henry carrying the on the ground attempts. Week one, Derrick Henry, the big just fluke game, and then you see week two, he just dominates, gets that touchdown, gets some good attempts. So it's kind of weird. I don't know if that's the reason they're losing. It's a lot of great teams that had insane seasons last year, just really not doing too hot to start off the season.
Yeah, I mean, with the Ravens, I think they'll bounce back just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the Raiders came back on them, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll learn from the mistake. They were the top overall seed last year in the AFC. I don't think you need to worry at all about the Ravens. I think they'll be just fine. Lamar's still a top QB. They still got weapons on offense and defense. I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, no.
And kind of another team unexpectedly is 2-0, the Minnesota Vikings. With old Sam Darnold there at quarterback, leading his team to a 2-0 start.
Yeah, Sam Darnold looks really good so far, actually. Something I would never expect to come out of my mouth, but
he's looked good. He's looked good.
Yeah, no doubt. You go into the season and you see the NFC North, and it's a really stacked division. You got the Lions, elite team. You got the Packers, Jordan Love really showing out in the playoffs, and you got the Bears, who had
a lot of hype.
Yeah, had a really from just looking at the roster, had a great team, and now they're a little iffy there. I think really going into the season, Minnesota was the number 4 slot, and now they're coming out 2-0 hot. So and then going over to the Packers fan here, Jordan Love injury, of course, and we thought he was going to be out for a decent bit, and then we get the news that he might start this week. Great news for Jaden Reed owners, of course, Jordan Love owners, and maybe the Packers. You saw Malik Willis, who didn't do too great, but didn't do bad. He had that mediocre. He did what he had to do. He got it done, and maybe the Packers can make a little push here at the end, or going into the season. So,
right. There was a certain matchup that kind of stood out to me. Dallas Cowboys played the New Orleans Saints, and let's just say the Cowboys did not fare well in that matchup. But the Cowboys are a team that have been hyped up, obviously, every year, and it's that kind of been coined the term like they're gonna choke in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But this year they might choke before the playoffs. But they got smacked by the Saints. Saints offense just
looked phenomenal.
Yeah, it just carved right through them. I think there's obvious concerns here for Dallas.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's concerns with Dallas, but then there's just this all of a sudden just hype around the Saints. You had Alvin Kamara scoring, was it 3 touchdowns?
4.
My bad, man. 4 touchdowns. Golly. That's just insane, And you have Rashid Shaheed showing out. You have Chris Olave. And really going in, you didn't really see Rashid Shaheed being hyped up as much.
I mean, he's a really good NFL wide receiver, but fantasy,
he was kind of not really thought about much.
Yeah, no. And then you also had the concerns with Derek Carr at quarterback, but he's doing just fine over there. And the Saints, it could be some nice playoff run, maybe.
Maybe Alvin Kamara kind of reminded you of what he did on Christmas a couple years ago when he dropped 6 touchdowns. But I think the Saints are obviously. I think Tampa Bay's looked really good in that, and Atlanta obviously with the big win in that division. So I think that division is going to be really fun to watch. And with Dallas, I think that just for the Eagles, I think it kind of boosts them up even more. And I mean, really, I think it's the Eagles' division to lose. I know they lost to the Falcons, and everybody's kind of starting to kind of go the negative hype on the Eagles, but I still think they're the best team in that division. And I mean, the Giants and the Commanders, I don't think they're really anything much there. But
what do you mean? They're great teams.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
That'll be it for us.
Yep.
Thank you for tuning in. Go check out the TikTok and the Instagram. We had fun here today. Hopefully you'll tune into episode 3, and we'll see you.